Welcome to the international course, The Ins and Outs of Entrustable Professional Activities, prepared and/or delivered by an international team. This is Clip 14, Case Studies in Faculty Development for EPA-based Education. This presentation includes hyperlinks that provide some international case studies on faculty development strategies. This resource supplements the main video Clip 13 on faculty development. Please take your own time to browse the hyperlinks to websites storing relevant digital resources. They may help you to consider what you may need to do in your own context and give you ideas for the group activity for this module on the course. Case Study 1. In 2013, the Dutch Ministry of Health came to an agreement with the Dutch Association of Medical Specialties to redesign the general structure of postgraduate medical training in the Netherlands. The primary goal was to introduce a time-flexible and therefore individualized training program. A national project was established involving stakeholders from national, regional and local institutions. A new backbone structure for all PGME programs was developed based on EPAs and entrustment decision-making. You can watch our 3-minute video on individualization of postgraduate medical education training in the Netherlands by clicking on the link. Of course, you can also visit the website. Now, how do they develop and implement a nationwide EPA-based PGME training? A national team was formed of 8 educationalists together with dedicated faculty and residents from different specialties and different regions in the Netherlands. This team introduced and supported development and testing of EPAs in different project teams. In addition, entrustment decision-making was introduced as a procedure for assessment and tested in daily learning practice. The national team then supported 30 societies of medical specialists to transform their individual national training programs into EPA-based plans. Next, the national team worked on transforming e-portfolios into e-supporting tools, absolutely necessary to implement EPA-based programs. Finally, the team focused on getting the resident in the lead in his individualized training program. The main focus of the national team was on co-creation with and for the users and focus on using it in daily training practice. During the 4-year project, the team offered educational support, presentations, training and workshops, and they developed tools for implementing EPA-based training. Please feel free to visit their toolbox for implementing EPA-based education in practice. You can find them on their website and through the links here. Concerning faculty development, they developed 2 tools. A 3-minute video explaining the importance of summative entrustment committees and how they should work. The second video gives the experience of a Dutch pediatric resident with the entrustment committee process. You can click on the links to view these videos here. We hope you enjoy the videos. Please feel free to use them in your faculty development program. If you have any questions or suggestions, please make a note of them to discuss later in our online meeting. This diagram illustrates an implementation strategy which combined top-down and bottom-up initiatives involving all stakeholders. Case Study 2. The College of Anaesthesiologists of Ireland is the body responsible for the National Postgraduate 6-year training programme in anaesthesia in Ireland. The college developed an EPA framework and prepared a number of EPAs and work-based assessment tools for piloting with Year 1 trainees. The strategy to support implementation contained a number of elements, including faculty development, appointment of champions, and a communication strategy. Firstly, a process of orientation for clinical supervisors was established with a series of seminars. Then a cascade model of training was adopted whereby 25 champion EPA tutors were appointed, one in each training hospital across the country. They attended 2 days of training in the college to prepare them to fulfill their role. Trainees were also briefed as to what to expect and how to use the EPA app. A series of digital resources were created to enable EPA tutors to support other clinicians in their hospital and for all stakeholders to access in their own time. Regular newsletters were issued to keep people informed and motivated. A hub of resources was created to host accessible digital resources which were specifically developed by the team. These included promotional and explanatory material which focused on explaining the nature of the changes and the rationale. Guidelines were provided on best practice in completing work-based assessment and giving effective feedback. A range of formats were used: presentation, whiteboard animations, and demonstration videos. You can access them here with this link. Here you will find the presentation which was developed in the college for EPA tutors to use in their hospital at department meetings when explaining the new EPA framework and the changes required to other clinicians and trainees. This meant that a consistent message was being delivered in all of the teaching hospital sites. You can view this here. Here you'll find a link to resources which explain how to conduct EPA-based assessment, including mini-CX, DOPS, case-based discussion, and field notes, including the use of the entrustment supervision scale. The college devoted particular attention to faculty development that aimed to enhance skills in giving effective feedback. A number of demonstration videos were created and with a partner college for use in faculty development workshops. They were also hosted on the hub, accessible to all those involved in the process. You can access them here. Case Study 3. The Faculty of Medicine at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, were tasked by their Dean, Dr. Richard Resnick, to do a faculty-wide transformation of 29 postgraduate training programs to CBME with an EPA framework on the July 1st, 2017. They had 3 years to get it developed and implemented. The enormity of the work to get ready for this could not be underestimated. This was a unique challenge in Canada, since other postgraduate programs were making the switch in a graduated fashion, with only a few programs per year. Every program had to get ready at the same time. The strategy used was that of a central approach, creating a shared institutional vision, with a central team in charge of the many steps to ensure program readiness for the launch. Change management was key, with faculty development as a core component. Also important to this transformative change was the incorporation of educational technology and the design of program evaluation ready to go from the start. This was a Herculean task if you think of the inherent differences in program design and culture. The teams used a just-in-time approach with online modules, in-person sessions, and program leads to help inform faculty members and residents, site visits with on-the-spot training. And with this came many successes, but also ongoing challenges, including logistical challenges of running a new educational program within a traditional hospital system and ensuring that the electronic platform can support the documentation, collation, tracking, and monitoring required for ongoing success. Case Study 4. This case study involves an AAMC pilot program called EPAC for Education in Pediatrics Across the Continuum that was run at 4 different institutions, including the University of California, San Francisco. The program used an EPA framework for learner assessment and was able to advance students from medical school to residency training based on achievement of a specific level autonomy on the AAMC 13 core EPAs. What is unique about this program from a faculty development perspective is that it only involved a small subset of students, approximately 4 annually at each institution, and the faculty who worked with or supervised those students. The rest of the students and faculty were part of the school's regular curricula using traditional assessments. Even though it primarily only impacted faculty in the pediatrics department, the EPAC students also worked with faculty in other departments. Because the EPAC students would be rotating through other departments at UCSF, they ensured that all stakeholders were aware of the program and bought into the rationale for a competency-based education pilot. These stakeholders understood that the students would be assessed using a different EPA framework, but they were not expected to have literacy around EPAs. UCSF focused their faculty development efforts on 2 groups: the leaders of the EPAC program and the small group of supervising clinicians who would be working with and assessing the students. The program leaders received more intensive faculty development to ensure that they understood EPA principles and how they applied to curriculum and assessment. They functioned as EPA champions and could be engaged in the competency committee that made summative advancement decisions. The faculty development for the supervising clinicians was focused on the concept of entrustment as assessment and the use of the entrustment supervision scale. UCSF put their primary efforts into the development and engagement of the EPAC students. By ensuring that the EPAC students fully understood the expectations of them, each of the 13 core EPAs, and how to use the entrustment supervision scale, the students became partners in faculty development and curricular change. They were able to help faculty understand the core EPAs and use the scale and point out opportunities for observation and assessment related to each of the EPAs. The students pushed the faculty for actionable feedback that would allow them to gain further autonomy, and even dialed the faculty back when the faculty were tempted to grade inflate, reminding the faculty that the scale was about level of supervision and students should not be provided with less supervision before they are ready. Case Study 5. In addition to videos and presentations, resources can be made which offer guidelines to faculty and learners in written form, such as these guidelines provided by the AAMC for the introduction of EPAs for entering residency. You can find it at this link. To recap, implementing competency-based medical education is a major change management process. It requires effective ongoing support for those responsible for effecting change in their practice. It needs to combine support from credible peers, accessible resources, and other learning opportunities. A well-resourced CPD strategy needs to respond to and inform the EPA development process. You need to design a faculty development strategy that attends to all these elements. Thank you for listening.